Hello and welcome to my channel to plan for. My name is Marguerite, and on this channel I talk about analog planning, journaling, and all the tools that make writing more enjoyable, especially fountain pens and inks. So this video is part of my ink exploration series where I take a look at one ink at a time, explore its properties, and have a special focus on writing samples in different fountain pens with different nib sizes. Because that's essentially what's the most important thing for me. I use my fountain pen inks for writing, so I want to know how would they perform in different pens. So today we will swatch the ink first, then explore its properties, and then look at writing samples from at least 3 different pens on 3 different paper types. And again, I have some bonus writing samples. So today we have here the ink Overcast from Diamine. It was part of the Inkvent 2025. And I decided to pick this ink because I wanted to use an ink that's outside of my comfort zone, which is dark, saturated inks usually. That's quite a different ink. And I wanted to see, okay, do I want to keep this ink? Do I enjoy it? Or is it something that I should maybe sell, especially with the Inkvent? You get a lot of different inks and a big variety, which makes sense. But it's quite natural that you won't like every single one of them. So I wanted to see if this a keep or a sell ink. Okay, then let's get started. As I already mentioned, the ink is from Diamine. And it's called Overcast. And yeah, maybe let's just put this here as part of the ink. And 2025. Okay. So let's see. It's not a shimmer ink, so I don't need to shake it up. And that's the ink. So I swatched the ink back then when I got the Inkvent, but till now I had never actually used it in a pen, so I only knew it from the swatch, and I need to write with an ink to really fully know, okay, do I enjoy this ink or maybe not? It's not only color, but also how does it behave in a pen, and that is a very good example, this ink, of seeing that my first impression was not correct, because I really, really do enjoy this ink. The question is this a sample or a full bottle? I guess it's a full bottle, just a small one. And they have, I think, 12. Yes, 12 ml. So then we want to see as well how is the water resistance with this ink. So I always draw here a little grid. Then I will let the grid dry, the ink grid, and afterwards we're gonna see what damage water does to the ink. And here I have my book with all the ink swatches I have done so far in this ink exploration series. So if you see here anything you are interested in, check out my other videos in this series. And I guess Also, this page is very representative of what I usually like or use for inks. You see everything rather dark, maybe with the cherishment. Oh my gosh, misspelled that. Cherishment, little exception, but everything else seems to be on the darker side. So let's get this done. Close the lid. And again, label it here. And here we already start to see, I mean, it's definitely going to be even more prominent once the ink is dry, but I can see here, that's a wonderful chromo shading ink. There's this blue, but there's also this pink undertone coming through, so very, very pretty. Let's let it dry. Let's use the time till we wait for it to dry to get on this paper some writing samples. I forgot to mention this. This is Tomoe River paper, 68 GSM. And now here we're going to make our additional writing samples. So now let's have a look at all the beautiful writing samples I have with this ink. My first notebook is the Arch and Olive notebook with the 160 GSM paper. I like to always test my inks in this notebook because that's a paper type I use quite frequently, so I want to know how do the inks perform. Up here we have the Lamy Safari with the broad nib, then the TWSBI Eco with the medium nib, and the Pilot Kakuno with a fine nib. And I think what's already very evident here is, to my big surprise, this ink is legible in all the different nib sizes, which is a big surprise for me. Just from the swatch I did last December, I thought, okay, looks pretty, but not really usable for me because my eyesight is not the best. So I thought, okay, yeah, maybe drawing, painting, but not really for writing. This page proved me wrong. And yeah, so much shading in here. It's amazing. So it's definitely, yeah, when you take a look at the ink properties, definitely a shading ink, chromo shading. So nice. And there's also quite a bit of variation between the level of shading depending on which pen. We see here the Lamy Safari and the TWSBI Eco. So it's way more prominent, the shading quality here in the Lamy Safari. Let's then take a look at the second notebook. So we have here my Rhodia notebook. And again, same setup. We have the Lamy Safari with the broad nib, TWSBI Eco with the medium nib, and Pilot Kakuno with the fine nib. And again, I'm so surprised how big the difference is shading-wise when between those two pens. This is too much. That's too little. And that's not the nib size I prefer. But I have a pen which is a wonderful match for this ink. We'll get there in a minute. Next, I have my Goodinkpressions notebook, 52 GSM Tomoe River paper. Again, Lamy Safari broad nib, TWSBI Eco medium nib, and Pilot Kakuno with a fine nib. And we see the same pattern repeated. So much shading here, way less here. That's good, but not for me. Then one more of the bonus writing samples. So we have a Clairefontaine notebook. Here this is completely written with the Lamy Safari with the broad nib. On this paper, the ink works for me way better because when you compare those two, this has less shading, but it becomes easier to read for me. And it's still there. So shading still present and not too subtle, I would say, but easier on the eye for me. Again, it shows how what a huge impact paper has. Now we get to the pen that is, well, the best match so far I have found. I mean, now it's the fourth pen I have this ink in, so maybe there's something better out there, but for the moment, that is my perfect match here. So not only is the pen color a good match for the ink, but that's just a coincidence. I don't care too much about that. This is the stationery brand, and the pen is called Kino. Why did I write number 016 up here? I think it's 014. Think. They're called Cherishment. And this is just a perfect match. It's wet and juicy and dark enough to be easy to read. Still a lot of shading here. Yeah, that was just a lucky pick. It's not that I knew that would be such a good match. So I'm very happy with this one. And finally, I have a Leuchtturm notebook. And again, this is with a Kino fountain pen. And we see again here dark, but still shading and just nice, very nice. I think it's also good to have the two Tomoe River notebooks compared with each other. Sorry for the mess. I just need to get all the notebooks we don't need anymore to the side. Yeah, maybe like this. because that is, well, more or less the same paper. I mean, as we have learned in the past, even with Tomoe River paper, there can be huge differences depending on the patch or the year. But if we look at all those writing samples, it's just my clear favorite with how the ink looks on this paper. That's just very nice. And I'm glad I gave this ink a chance. And yeah, it was a positive surprise for me. Okay, so we had all our writing samples. And then let's just put this all here in some nice way. Let's see how we can do that. My summary for this ink is, it's definitely, as I said, a very unexpected positive surprise. And I am so glad I gave this ink a chance, and it's, I guess, one of the first light inks I enjoy using. Okay, thank you very much. I hope this was helpful or at least entertaining for you, and hopefully you stop by again. Thanks and have a nice day. Bye.